You're walking down a quiet street at night. Nothing is wrong. No one is behind you, but your heart is pounding anyway. Your skin feels tight. Your ears are straining for a sound that isn't there. You tell yourself to relax. You can't. Because somewhere underneath your rational mind, something older is running the show. And it doesn't know it's the 21st century. For most of human history, the dark wasn't a mood. It was a hunting ground. Predators moved at night. Rival groups moved at night. If you weren't alert after sunset, you often didn't wake up. That pressure didn't last a few generations. It lasted hundreds of thousands of years, long enough to carve itself into the architecture of your brain. You still carry that architecture, right now. At the center of it sits a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It's not thinking in the way your prefrontal cortex thinks. It's scanning for threat, fast, before conscious thought even catches up. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping this system, and what he found was startling. Fear signals can reach the amygdala directly from the senses, bypassing the thinking parts of the brain entirely. Your body can be in a state of alarm before you've consciously registered why. That's not a flaw. That's the design working exactly as intended. An ancestor in tall grass doesn't have time for careful analysis when a shape moves. Hesitation costs a life. The nervous system that survived was the one that reacted first and asked questions later. You are descended from the ones who flinched. Here's where it gets stranger. Your brain isn't just reacting to real threats, it's predicting them. Psychologist Lisa Feldman Barrett has argued that the brain doesn't wait for the world to tell it what's happening. It constructs a guess in advance, based on past experience, and only adjusts if the guess is clearly wrong. Fear, in this view, is a prediction about what danger probably looks like, which means your fear of the dark isn't really about the dark. It's about missing information. And a brain trained by an environment where missing information often meant a predator was close will fill that gap with vigilance, not calm. Consider the shape of a snake. Psychologist Arne Oman found that people detect images of snakes and spiders faster than images of flowers, even when flashed for a fraction of a second. Most modern humans have never faced a dangerous snake in the wild. The bias remains anyway. It isn't learned. It's inherited. Because across evolutionary time, missing a snake was far costlier than a false alarm. That's the real engine behind all of this. Cost asymmetry. Mistake a stick for a snake, and you lose a second of dignity. Mistake a snake for a stick, and you sometimes lose your life. Natural selection doesn't reward accuracy. It rewards whichever mistake is cheaper. A nervous system that overreacts to shadows is, on average, cheaper than one that stays calm and gets it wrong once. So, your paranoia isn't a bug. It's a very old form of insurance. But here's the twist. The threats your body evolved to detect mostly don't exist anymore. And yet, the system built for that world hasn't been updated for this one. So it looks for new things to attach itself to. A blinking notification. Footsteps behind you on an empty sidewalk. A silence that goes on too long in a conversation. Your ancient alarm system doesn't distinguish between a predator in the grass and an unread email from your boss. It just knows something feels unresolved, and unresolved things register as danger. Researchers call this gap evolutionary mismatch. A trait that was once perfectly adaptive becomes a liability once the environment changes faster than the biology can follow. Your fear circuitry evolved over an almost unimaginable stretch of time. Your environment changed in the blink of an eye by comparison. Streetlights, locked doors, cities where you can walk for miles without meeting a predator larger than a raccoon. None of that has had time to rewrite what's underneath your ribs. Once you see this, something shifts. The racing heart on the quiet street stops feeling like weakness. It starts feeling like inheritance. You are not broken for flinching at shadows. You are the product of every ancestor who flinched and survived long enough to keep the pattern going. So the next time your pulse spikes for no reason you can name, you don't have to ask what's wrong with you. You can ask what your body thinks it's protecting you from, and notice, gently, that the danger it's bracing for probably isn't in the room. Nothing is wrong, but something very old inside you still isn't convinced. And it never got the message that the hunting ground closed a long, long time ago.